Hello, YouTube world. I am back. Woo! Um, so I took a much needed hiatus from videos for a while just to, I think, cleanse and purge and fully allow myself to embody this eclipse season that we are currently wrapping up, I should say. So, if you are a part of the eclipse season wrapping up support group, you can gather here um, amongst people like myself who is really celebrating the end of this season. um, Eclipse seasons are intense, guys. They just really are. And there's really no fast track way to get through them. Um, you can't sort of hide behind them or sort of go around them. You just have to go through them. And I've definitely felt that way. Um, it's part of the reason I didn't make a video to talk about the lunar eclipse in Virgo over a week ago. I really needed that space and that time to just really kind of grapple with all the things, okay? All the things. But now it's finally over. Um, Moving on past this eclipse season, I did take some notes. So if you see me looking away, it's really just to keep me on track and to help me not forget something I wanted to mention about this time. So, all right. So, yeah. So, eclipse season support group wrapping up. Gather here. We're out of the woods for a while, at least until the summer or the end of the summer, and we will have our next set of eclipses, and then we'll talk about it around that time. I'm hoping that, this can just be a time where we just, we just continue to move forward. Um, Lessons learned. Well, like I think with any eclipse season, right? It's like a phase, eclipse seasons are triggering the moon. It's triggering the nodes of the moon. So we had the new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius, which I made a video about on the 17th of February. And that was sort of like the new moon, if you will, sort of the opening of this season. And, I think for new moons, there were seeds being planted. Uh, Maybe seeds that you had no idea were being planted, but they were being planted. And I think it's just the energy, it's the universe's way of helping us to get aligned to our destiny, where we're supposed to be, where we're not supposed to be, the interactions we're supposed to have, what have you, it's really a time of alignment and a time of just destiny doing its thing for us, right? So, I'm making this video on my phone as I speak. Someone's calling, I'm looking away. But that was the new moon. That was the new moon solar eclipse, and that was on the 17th. And then we had that first quarter square come along around the 24th of February. And the first quarter square, I think, for, with seeds being planted is by this time, right, we're already in the shadow of Mercury retrograde. We didn't start Mercury retrograde until the 26th of February, but, we're definitely in that very shadowy energy of Mercury retrograde before it started. And I think being hit with a first quarter square was really bringing, it's really helping us to see this seed. How strong is this seed? Is it going to produce something? We want something from whatever is being sowed, right? Whatever is being planted on this new moon solar eclipse. And, if you look back over your life, you tend to see like, yeah, there were some things seeding in my life. There were some new development, or maybe, I always like to say with eclipse season, this re-emergence of things happening that are designed to really help us understand our destinies and our fates a little bit more than we are um, aware of. So, yeah, so, we had the first quarter square, and then around the 26th, Mercury went retrograde. And then we had this full moon lunar eclipse on the 3rd of March. In my tummy is it's going crazy, but I just had lunch, so I'm not hungry or anything like that. I don't know if you could hear it on the video. It's kind of loud. But we had this full moon lunar eclipse on the 3rd of March, and you know, that was big, for a lot of people. I think it was a time of just it was a lot, it was a lot. I'm trying to think. I know for myself, I was having a lot of crazy dreams, and just, the universe has already been working with me, and just since the nodes moved into the Virgo Pisces axes, and it's just been a time of lessons and seeing a lot of different things in my own life. Some things dealing with familial ties, other things dealing with skip steps in relationships, and it's just been a lot of work that I think the universe has been really trying to put me on balance, or put me in balance with, so that I can best show up as my most authentic self. And so that's what I'll say about that full moon lunar eclipse on the 3rd. It was definitely grueling for me, and it really showed me a lot. And then yesterday, on the 11th of March, we had that 3rd quarter square, kind of wrapping up the season. And, I feel like the 3rd quarter square is a time where we truly release it. We truly say, okay, you know, there have been so many lessons, there have been so many things that I realized about myself, that I had to embrace about myself, maybe, or sometimes it's not even you. So depending on what aspect of life this is happening for you, it could be your children, it could be your spouse, it could be your family, um, it could be your job, either way, we are ready to let it go. We're ready to say, you know what? There's nothing I can do to change this. There's nothing I can really do to fix whatever this thing is, that the universe has been working to bring into my presence, or just, to take away from my presence. And so I think it becomes that moment of and I know I had this moment yesterday where I was really working through some things in my mind, and it was like Virgo, being the Mercury being the ruler. It's really about surrender. It's really about not trying to fix it, not trying to perfect it or analyze it, or really even care about it, you know? And I know that's hard when it's, opposing Pisces, and, Pisces is a very caring energy, and it wants to care, and it wants to be empathetic, and it wants to, well, what more could I have done or said or been, or um all the things, right? But I think ultimately it's about surrendering it and understanding that it is a part of your fate. It is a part of your destiny to go through whatever, or grow through, right? Whatever you're going through. And so, yeah, so, you know, I know I've definitely, like I said, I have felt this great release. Most specifically, I think yesterday, and then coming into today, I was like, I want to make a video. I want to get back to making my videos, and just really show the side of embracing the new me, embracing this new chick that's going to be here for a very, very long time. I was looking over one of the eclipses, or was it the last one? I think it may have been the last uh total lunar eclipse in Virgo. And I think it happened around 2007 time frame, March. And I'm a very deep soul, a very deep thinker. And if you haven't been able to tell that about me already, I really do love to just cast your mind, cast your emotions, cast everything back, right, to what do I need to be learning at this time? What do I need to be seeing? What am I missing? And one thing I looked back on was that time in 2007 for me, when there was a total lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, right around the same degree of this eclipse, and the things that were ensuing or about to ensue in my life. And the universe never fails us, guys. It's so on point with the lessons and the things that we need to see in order to fully blossom, fully come into who we really are here to be. And it's not one of those things, I feel, where we can, like, short step or go around our destiny or our fate or things that are designed to happen to us in life. We just can't. And so that's why, even though astrology, I feel like, can be so predictive and you can look at things and see things coming, it's also very hard to try to manipulate anything, because life happens the way it happens. And one of my favorite sayings is, life is not happening to us, but it's happening for us. And I've definitely had to go back to that, and just rework that in my own conscience, and really, really trust that everything that is happening is happening for me, not to me, but for me. And I didn't believe that in 2007. Well, I didn't know a whole lot either about astrology, and I wasn't really watching my life as closely as I do now. Although I was, like I said, I've always been a pretty intuitive, a pretty deep thinker, and just really wanting to see how things are going and lining up, and really seeing the steps I'm making and the choices and the things of that nature. But I think it was more of, I wasn't willing in 2007. I think if somebody would have stopped me and tried to help me understand that fate was trying to show me certain things in my life, that this this was my destiny to go this direction, I probably still would have chose the direction I chose. And I think that that's just the universe's way of helping us to get to where we're supposed to be. So, yeah, so I did look back through that time frame, and looking at the time that I'm in now, there's more of like, I don't know, I think too, like, the older you become in life, the more seasoned you become with your choices and your mistakes and your all of it, right? And you're able to just go, you're able to have those moments of like, oh, or you're able to laugh at yourself more, or you're able to let it go and just be like, well, of course that's how that was going to all play out. Like, what was I thinking? How could it have been any different, instead of having sort of this intensity around it. So, how did this energy work with you? You know, if you watch my videos and you want to share, I did take a few notes on how I saw this, I think, maybe playing out for some of the energies. Um, if you were the stars of the show, so if you were fixed sign Aquarius and Leo, or mutable signs Virgo and Pisces, um, this probably played out pretty intensely for you, you know, depending on what part of life you're in right now. Guys, eclipses aren't easy, and there could have been major things happening. There could have been breakthroughs happening. There could have been um, releases and deaths, and I hate to think of those things, but you know, again, we are here to evolve and to transition and to move to the next cycles in our life. So I definitely personally have some Virgo friends, and as well as I know a few Pisces, definitely Aquarius, and maybe even Leos. I think I know pretty much, I have people that I know in each sign, and they were having some major things going on in their lives, the ones that were willing to share with me, and even the ones that weren't, you sort of got this energy from them. I feel like if you are an intuitive like myself, that things are pretty intense in their life, whether it's around their career, whether it's around their significant partners or their family, or just whatever, their home, their finances. You really got a sense of this intensity, and just major things culminating for the fixed signs of Aquarius, Leo, and the mutable signs of Virgo, Pisces. And then I thought about also, the fixed signs, because when you look at Aquarius, you do, there's Leo, but there's also Scorpio and Taurus on that axes as well. And one of the things I thought about for those signs of Taurus and Scorpio was it probably wasn't very comfortable. It wasn't a very comfortable time in your life. I definitely can speak to that. I am a Scorpio, and I have a lot of Scorpio placements. And, I think it was like this time of intensity, but intensity in a different way, more like in a skip steps kind of a way, more like in a, I needed to put in more work for this, or I needed to maybe look at this a little bit deeper, or I'm seeing where I needed to course correct here in my life, you know? And I think sometimes that's okay. You know, I'm learning in my own life that that's okay. You know, like I said, I have a lot of fixed energy, and sometimes for the fixed signs, we get very narrowly focused in on whatever it is that we want and whatever it is that we desire, whatever it is that we think we need. And it's very hard to budge us or nudge us in any other direction, you know, coming from a fixed sign, trust me. So I think these eclipses um, could have helped, you know, maybe not so much the Virgo eclipse since that's kind of sextiling us. It's a different energy. Maybe there was more of a hope around, all right, I can let this go and course correct. And, you know, whereas the Aquarius eclipse, um, you know, showed us where we saw those skip steps and the things that were uncomfortable in our lives still. And then I thought about the mutable signs of Gemini and Sagittarius, a little bit the same way I thought about Scorpio or Taurus and Scorpio, is that, you know, again, you know, the skip steps, you know, where do I need to course correct? You know, where do I need to maybe think things through in this area? Where do I need to just be real with myself? You know, just just see it the way it is, you know. And I know the mutable signs are very adaptable. So maybe they didn't have as a hard of maybe it wasn't as hard of an energy as it was for the fixed signs to course correct with Gemini and Sagittarius, but um nonetheless it's still tough, right? It's still difficult to look at your life in a way where maybe things didn't pan out the way you had hoped, or yeah, you know, there were things you had to give up, there were things you had to move on from, and just trust that the universe has your back, you know. So these placements, guys, these can happen anywhere, right, throughout our natal charts. I personally have some Pisces and some Sagittarius and lots of Scorpio, a little bit of Taurus. So we all carry these energies within us. And I think that we have to look at our lives sort of on this kind of like as a whole, you know, like of energies, like that's working in different areas in our lives, but also being aspected by other energies as well, that is trying to get us to look at something else as well as we are um moving through other things. You know, it's like, you know, which way do I go? Or sometimes you feel you it can feel that way, like, okay, do I focus, is this more important, is that more important? And one thing I can say for a fact, okay, is that I do believe that, you know, the energies that's playing out on your natal chart in your cardinal houses, so that would be your first house, your fourth house, your seventh house, and your 10th house. Those are probably going to be the loudest in terms of what you are called towards and what is really sort of ruffling you up. I know for me, it definitely was for me, as I have major things aspected right now in the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th. And I think that that took up a lot of my energies and during this eclipse season of just really looking at those areas in my life and trying to make the changes, the necessary changes that needed to be made, or just allowing myself to release and let go, and yeah, to move on. And I didn't forget the cardinal signs, okay? I didn't forget Aries and Cancer and Libra and Capricorn. And I think that, obviously you could have, these things aspected, either way, but I definitely think they may have had a little bit of an easier time through the eclipses, or I don't want to say an easier time because eclipses can affect anyone, but I think that depending on your chart and, other things that's going on, but, I definitely think the main start of the event for these cardinal signs is Jupiter moving direct again, which Jupiter did start to station, I think, around the 10th or maybe the 9th, either way, and then it started to move direct on the 10th. And so I think the cardinal signs are, you know haven't it's not like they haven't not felt the energies from this eclipse, especially with Jupiter being retrograde in a cardinal sign, a very important cardinal sign, an exalted cardinal sign in Cancer. I think that you know that can really bring up issues of beliefs, right? And just your values and abundance, how you're moving ahead, how you're doing with, with your resources, and really I think just feeling hopeful through this time, because we also had, throughout this time, we had Saturn and Neptune make its groundbreaking conjunction in Aries. And so, obviously all of that has played into this season, and so it's left me feeling like I'm so ready or I am happy that this eclipse season is over, and I'm so ready for this Pisces new moon. There's a Pisces new moon coming, and I kind of see, I wrote it down. Where did I write it? This new moon, hang on a second here. Let me try to position this in a different way. Okay. There we are. There we go. But I saw this new moon coming up, and Pisces is, I'm going to try to read what I wrote, and I can hardly see what I wrote. There's hope around designing the end to have a personalized, successful outcome. So, what am I trying to say? Well, I think of Pisces, and I just think of how Pisces is such a hopeful sign. I think of how it's so dreamy, and it loves to create and design. And now Jupiter's gone direct again. It's going to trine that Pisces and, encourage that Pisces to really, this Pisces new moon is exactly the hope I think that we need after this time. I know it's definitely the hope I need after this time, that I haven't completely lost, this battle. Like, in the end, because Pisces is the final sign, and there's still hope around creating something that inspires us, that really helps us feel. And even though Pisces is sort of that sign for, the whole, it's still a matter that it can be this also very individualized energy as well, to to your own hope, things, your own dreams, your own desires, maybe even, and things that you want to create, things that you want to design and, bring into complete fruition for yourself, but and it has this amazing impact on others, so, I'm excited for this Pisces new moon that's coming up, and maybe I'll pop back on here and talk about a little bit about it and some of the energies around it. Um, one of the things I'm excited about, though, one of the things I think that gives it hope, and I wrote these down, Mercury will go direct on the 20th. We also have the start of, so the new moon's on the 18th, which is kind of cool, right? And then right after the new moon, we will have uh the start of the astrological new year, meaning that we will have the spring equinox and or wait, is it the equinox? Yeah. And we will have you know, and that will be in Aries. And one cool thing I think I saw somewhere, I was reading about how Mars, the planet of Mars, which is in Pisces right now, hasn't been as bright in the sky. But like on March 16th, Mars will start to become even brighter. And then as we go into the astrological new year and Aries season kicks off on the 20th, it Mars becomes even brighter, and Mars of course rules Aries, and it has that sort of I don't know, I think what I'm trying to embrace is, you know a Mars in Aries is where Mars wants to be, and it's the sun in Aries is exalted. And so I just think about how we can have this sort of undeniable confidence in the hope around this Pisces new moon, that where we're headed, what we're doing, what we're creating, maybe even a vision for the world and how it affects the world and our own personal dreams and hopes, and how that could all affect, um others around us. Just, I don't know, I just see it as this could be a good time, coming up towards the end of March. And we also will have what else we have, so we talked about Mercury going direct, or did we? So Mercury will then go direct on the 20th, no, on the 21st of March. And I just think about how, that kind of clears up a little bit of the communication snafus, and just, I don't know, like, it kind of flushes out a lot of this Mercury in Pisces. If, it starts to go direct, it's going to move out of Pisces, and, eventually, it is going to go into Aries, where our thoughts can be a little bit quicker in our communication, and maybe not so stuck in the dreamy state, maybe, or you know the big picture. And it kind of will go into more of this you know yeah, like moving on, I'm going to do this now. And so I'm excited. I'm very excited about this energy. We also will have Mars will support Jupiter in a trine on March 21st. We have the sun that's going to sextile Uranus, the planet of change, on March 18th. So, guys, what I'm trying to say is that I think that, you know, the end, at the end, there can be hope. There can be a sort of, how am I going to dig myself out? Well, this is how I'm going to dig myself out. I am going to create and design something that I truly believe in. I'm going to create, maybe that's a life, maybe that's a career, maybe that's a relationship. It's different for everybody, you know. Um, but the beautiful thing is that I'm not going to go backwards, and no, nor can we go back, right? We can, and that's the beautiful thing about, you know, I think destiny and the eclipse season is that once it's over and done, it's over and done, and you can move forward and you can heal and you can begin to embrace what's ahead. And that's what I have been focusing on, and just where I see myself moving and going. So hopefully this video has offered some support and encouragement, and I look forward to being back on here hopefully very soon. I'm not sure the exact day or time, but I definitely want to come back and maybe make some content or share some content about what I'm thinking for the new moon in Pisces, and um just other maybe notable um transits that are going on. Like I said, I'm definitely keeping my eye pierced on Mercury this year. um I just think Mercury is gonna do some great things in my own life, and so I don't know. I am really looking forward to what happens, what's coming, what's new. I think it's going to be something big, but I'm not sure what it will be. Hopefully, it will be, for me, definitely centered around creating more content and teaching and building. So, yeah, and sharing a lot more. So, anyhow, I will end this video and just with blessings and sending hope and positive vibes no matter what your eclipse season has been like. Hopefully you're able to pull yourself up a little bit now that it is over. So peace and love.